Hey everybody, here's a little ES2 lesson for you. All the talking will be at the end of the video. See you soon. Alright guys, here we go. So we're going to talk about the ES2, and we're going to talk primarily about the router and the vector area of the ES2. So in the ES2, let's start from tutorial settings, FM DigiWave, and these three areas, 1, 2, and 3, these are the three sound generators of the ES2. The first wave is a sine wave that's being slightly frequency modulated, so its frequency is being modulated by oscillator 2. Now, I'm going to turn on oscillator 3, and this point here is mixing between those three sound generation sources. So, sound 1, sound 2, and sound 3. All very different timbres. Now, so that's the mix area. Now over here we have something called the vector pad, or the XY pad. If we go into vector mode, which is right there, there's an X target and a Y target. X is going to be left and right, Y is going to be up and down. So for X, the obvious one, of course, is pan. And I'll give it an influence of -1. Then when I go left and right, we'll hear it pan left and right. Okay. Now for the y-axis, I'm going to go to oscillator 2, and I'm going to have it INT. It's kind of hard to see. INT. That means intensity. So now if I go up and down, what it's doing is it's changing the oscillator 2 wave. So the oscillator 2 wave here says high 2. Okay, in oscillator 2 we can make a square wave or a sawtooth wave or a triangle wave or a square wave, or but down here it actually has these waves that aren't simple waves. They're complex waves that are in a wave table. They're in a table of complex waves. And what I'm doing when I'm changing the y-axis is it's going through that list of complex waves. So now let's get to the vectoring part of things, the timing. So if I right-click here or control-click, I can initialize to an 8x8 loop. Now everything I'm doing right now, if you go to macprovideo.com, there's a very high-resolution version of this video that Steve Horlick did, and he also has a series of DVDs for sale that are pretty fantastic. I just have to put that out there because this is essentially the way that he teaches his vector synthesis is almost exactly the way that I teach it. So I just want to give that out so that I'm not going to claim that this is completely original. This is very much like his video. So Mac Pro Video, go to macprovideo.com and check out Steve Horlick's. So, because he's got a lot of really detailed, wonderful, in-depth stuff. And he's a cool guy. I met him at the New York Logic User Group meeting. So anyway, on this line here, we have these points. Each point is a different set of settings between the mix area and the vector area. So if I click solo point, I'm going to push this up here, the mix up to the top. I'm going to take the X and the Y area and I'm going to put it over to the lower left. And when I listen to it, that's what it's going to sound like when we go to that point. Now when I go to the next point, I can change it. And I'll go to the next point, and the next point. And let's go here. Da -da 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 -da. Now what's going to happen is when I turn solo point off, it's cycling through each point. Okay, and the rate at which it cycles is determined here in the sync settings. So if I change it to quarter note, it's going to be pretty fast. So that's pretty cool. Let me turn it back to half. Now when you let go, it's just decaying like normal. But if you go to your envelope mode where it says normal and you change it to finish, then what will happen is even after you let go, when it goes through this release stage, it'll keep looping that wavetable. So cool. Now the other thing too is that we can try a different target for the Y or the X vector. So for the X vector, maybe I'll go to filter to cutoff or something like that. Let me see, cutoff 2. This has a very different rhythmic feel, right? That's because the filter's opening and closing. I can also adjust the cutoff a bit. That makes it a lot more extreme. So it's really good for making rhythmic sounds. I would suggest playing around with the different X targets and Y targets and seeing what you come up with. And that's it for the vector section of our tutorial for today. Take care.